Warning, the following video will consist of a rant and a detailed analysis as to why I do not like a certain voice actress. This will consist of some foul language and references to mature content, as well as an analysis of said actress's psyche. Viewer discretion advised. Okay, anyone in the ISWV community knows I do not like, respect, heck, I hate to the core, despise to the very core, one Monica Jean Rial. Yeah, I full named her. That's how much I don't like her. But you're probably thinking, does my hatred for her go back to 2019? When she basically sided with Mars Girl and Hanlea to get Vic fired from Funimation under fault with no investigation, and then basically demand that Rooster Teeth throw him under the bus too? The answer to that question, believe it or not, is no. That's not where my beef with her starts. Where my issues with her starts. Mine with her goes all the way back to 2007. Those who grew up in the late 90s to early 2000s, when Toonami was in its infancy going into its peak, basically when the block debuted in 1997, up until its eventual demise in 2000, removal from the Cartoon Network weekday after school block in 2004, and then its eventual initial demise in 07-08, when it was pushed to the Saturday night block, where it basically ran Naruto for the latter part of its existence. Anyway, Dragon Ball Z was the cash cow of Toonami when it came on the scene in 1997. However, it was not being dubbed by Funimation at that time. No, it was being dubbed by another company in Vancouver, British Columbia, the Ocean Group, and did so from 1997 to roughly 1999, when it aired here in the States. Unfortunately, by September of 1999, any rights to air that version of the dub in the U.S. were lost and were taken from Ocean and handed over to Funimation. So Scott McNeil, Ian James Corlett, Peter Calemis, Kirby Morrow, Brian Drummond, that cast was pretty much gone from many of the iconic roles. In their place were people like Chris Sabat, Sonny Strait, Stephanie Nadolny, Tiffany Vollmer, Mike McFarland, Brina Palencia, John Bergemeyer, Sean Schemmel. And this is the OG Funimation DBZ dub I'm referring to. Eric Vale, Chris Rager, Josh Martin, Linda Young, Justin Cook, Chuck Huber, Aaron Dismuke, Kent Williams, and so forth. And Vic Mignogna, and J. Michael Tatum, and so on and so forth. And I had come to kind of like it, as it basically wrapped up the latter half of the Namek saga, and pretty much to Z's initial conclusion. This was when it did have a couple of filler arcs to run in between, from 99 to 2003. Then came the shitty GT series, which did not get over here in the States with how stupid its plot was. That said, after GT ran its course, it was pretty quiet on the Dragon Ball front. I mean, which is a rarity. Then came 2007, where we were getting a reboot of Dragon Ball Z, called Dragon Ball Z Kai. The only difference between this and the original, in terms of plot, was that most of the filler, was getting cut. Though to be fair, it was just mostly the fake Namek saga and the Garlic Jr. sagas that got cut. However, audio-wise is where things started to hit a bit of a bad note for me. Now, most of the main cast did come back. Sabat, Schemmel, Strait, Palencia, Vale, McFarland, Bergmeyer. There's a Grammellion that played Tien. I never remember which one of those two Johns it is. Huber, Swayze, Michael Tatum, Williams. But there were some changes amongst the females in the cast. Some of the members of the cast. One of the later entries was with Kid Trunks, Goten, and Videl. In the original cuts, they were voiced by Laura Bailey, Christine Auden, respectively. However, both women got replaced by Alexis Tipton and Kara Edwards for all three roles. All three roles got replaced by two women, Alexis Tipton and Kara Edwards, for Kid Trunks, Goten, and Videl, respectively. I didn't know why, though, but I let it slide. Amongst other cast changes were Linda Young being swapped out for Christopher Aries as Frieza. I guess they wanted to give Frieza a more distinctive male voice than what Linda gave him. So I thought, whatever. But then we get to the two that I was a little more pissed about. The voice changes for Kid to preteen Gohan and Bulma. In the original English funny dub cuts, Gohan, from age 4 to about 11 or so, was played by Stephanie Nadolny, where Bulma was played by Tiffany Vollmer. However, they would soon be replaced by Colleen Klinkenbeard and Monica Rial, respectively. And here are my problems. I'll start with Colleen first because I don't have much to say about this, so I'll make it blunt. Her version of child to preteen Gohan, she basically recycled her Luffy voice. And that kind of bothered me, to be honest. Making it worse is when she replaced Stephanie as Kid Goku for any of the OG Dragon Ball films. With Monica replacing Tiffany, on the other hand, it took away more of the subtlety behind the character I think Tiffany managed to convey. Monica is anything but subtle, and more importantly, her voice is not very versatile. It's very distinct. You can tell it's her just from the nasally little squeaks she puts into it, for better or worse. And in most cases, it's the worst. Not to mention, for the overly emotional moments, she doesn't rein it in. For example, the moment during the Fusion Saga when Goku basically breaks the bad news that while Goten and Trunks are safe in the Lookout, Gohan and Vegeta were slain by Majin Buu. though Gohan was later revealed to be alive, but you get the point. Where Tiffany does let out the subtle emotion and does eventually go out screaming Vegeta's name without it sounding too overbearing, Monica just sounds fucking ear-grating when she lets it all out in that moment. It's painful to listen to. So I asked myself, why replace Tiffany with Monica? It wasn't until recently I found out, until around the time the case started to take form, the Vic Mignogna case started to take form, that we got evidence from not just Chuck Huber, but also Stephanie Nadolny, that apparently Sabat replaced her, Christine, Laura, and Tiffany in the Kai dub because they refused sexual favors with him. In Laura's case, she was already in the committed relationship with another funny VA, Travis Willingham, who she eventually married at some point between 2013 and 2017. I think they got married in 2013. And this was at a time when Stephanie was going through some alcohol substance abuse problems and need to go through rehab. And to the point she got kicked out of the company by 2009. But the fact that Chris basically threw them off the cast because they flat out refused sexual intercourse with him makes me sick. I'm going to be blunt with this when I say it. And I am going to briefly take my scope, the sight of my scope, off of Monica and target Sabat with this. Christopher Robin Sabat, I've said before, I'll say it again. Vic Mignogna is not the pedophile. You are. You're the sexist, chauvinist pig, Sabat. I'm calling you out for that. Not to mention, you're the adulterer, far worse than anything Vic could have ever committed. But back to Monica. Monica says she plays the best girls in shows. I mean, I wouldn't call Kagura in Speedgrapher, Akoi in Basilisk, Renge in Oron High School Host Club, the little so-called Christian girl in Ghost Stories, Maria in Witchblade, Nurse Morikawa in High School of the Dead, Train's little fangirl in Black Cat, Xiao Mei in FMA Brotherhood, Dante in the OG FMA, Yukari in Rosario Vampire. I wouldn't call any of those roles best girl roles. In fact, the two that are legit best girls, Bulma and Sakura from Dragon Ball and Cardcaptor Sakura respectively, she ruined them. Them with her squeaky voice. I mean, with her shrill, squeaky voice. I mean, the only role of Monica's that I can actually tolerate to the point where I actually enjoy it is that of Shanae Laforêt in Baccano. Why? Because 9 times out of the 10 that she's on screen, I don't actually hear her talk. It's her inner monologue, not external. No monologue I hear from Shawnee. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a blessing in disguise. So yeah, Monica, the fact that you ruined Bulma for me is one of the biggest outliers as to why I do not like you, either as a voice actress or as a person. And you know how I end these rants. By saying, I stand with Vic. Now, then, and forever. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. Mets2128 signing out. Goodbye, and good night. Bang!